Okay, yes, we are live. I'll correct. Okay, so thank you so much for your patience. Apologies for the glitch. Sometimes certain things are not in our hands. Okay, so let me start off the session again. First of all, thank you so much for joining in on a weekend. My name is Ronath and I'm part of the marketing team at Juno School of Business. The weekly masterclass that we conduct every Saturday 12 p.m. The whole idea behind this is that we want to bridge the gap between sales professionals and industry leaders. For the last 2 years, we have been trying to bridge this gap by bringing in people from the industry, various industries, people who have been exposed to various other challenges. They share their journey so that you learn from their mistakes and then implement them and take your journey forward, right? The only request that we have is we want to reach more and more people. And for that, we need your help. So if you're live on the Zoom stream right now, I am pasting the YouTube and the LinkedIn link. One second. Please do subscribe to us on YouTube and please do follow us on LinkedIn. Because when you follow us, when you subscribe to us, when you view our content, it reaches to more and more people. And we need that support because we don't sell anything anywhere on any social media platform. That's our agenda, is that our agenda is pretty clear. Our vision is we want to reach more and more people to help them learn sales from industry leaders. And that's what we have been doing. So please do follow us. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. And every day we work as a team at Juno to produce content from the master classes so that you can consume it during the day, right? On that note, let me start off this session. So we have been hearing about psychology of money a lot, right? And all the sales folks out here would be thinking, how can we implement that psychology in sales? And for that, we have with us Mr. P. Sainath. He has around 18 plus years of experience with companies like Intent Mobi, Here Technologies, Tata Teleservices, Confederation of Indian Industry. 18 years is a vast time, right? He has been through many challenges. He has been exposed to global sales function as well. So, would be great how you can take away his learnings and implement in your day-to-day sales cycle, right? And I'll not be wasting any more time. Sai, thank you so much for taking out time for the session. I know it's a weekend and we have been discussing this for the last 2 months, but finally we may do this. So thank you so much for trusting us with your time. I'll unmute you. Yeah, I'll unmute you. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thanks, Ronit. It's true that like we have been interacting for past 2 months, and unfortunately, like I was going through certain career transitions, and still, um, uh, thanks to Juno class for sorting out the best time for conducting this particular master class on psychology on sales. So, hi, folks. So, next 50 odd minutes, like I'm going to be a barrier for you in between your lunch and rest of our other day. So you have to bear with me for next 55 minutes. Hopefully, like I will be able to sell some content to you so that you will be able to understand. Then you will be able to understand the psychology of selling to you. So before I start my session, let me give a small introduction about myself. So I've got as Ronit mentioned that around 18 years, a slight correction, 17 plus years of experience. So of that 16 years, I basically worked in business development and sales, working with some of the MNCs, some of the mid-scale companies, and very recently worked with a startup, both in India and abroad. So I've been living in abroad for quite a long time, then came back to India, working with some of the companies, as I mentioned, especially in the business development and sales side altogether. So got 360-degree exposure of all the kind of companies, be it in an MNC or mid-scale or a startup. Each and every company has got its own beauty to work with, especially in the sales side. And very recently, I concluded my role with Intents Mobi, very pre-series a stage startup as global head of business development and revenue. So without much wasting the time, let me share the deck, and then from there, like we can take forward. So this is going to be an interactive session. So I think the Q&A is towards the end, right, Ronit, if I'm not wrong. So uh, please note down your questions or whatever you have. Then probably towards the end of the session, I'll try my level best to answer whatever query that you have, and from there, like we can take it up. Let me share my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, others, if you can give a thumbs up. Yeah. Yes, Deepika, Sagar, thanks. Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah. So the psychology of selling. This is a topic that I'm going to present today, where which is one of the most critical aspect for any of the sales guy. Every sales guy will always feel that like why people buy. So this is one of the most important topic, and this is a very vast topic. I should say. Mostly the people understand the psychological aspect, then we go for sales. So this topic is very critical as far as the sales has been considered. So in this session, some of the key takeaways or what you can expect is basically what are the buyer's motivation altogether. Then the FAB approach, which is actually the features, advantages, and benefits. Then understanding the buy-in needs or determining the buy-in needs and buyer perception in the decision-making process altogether. So before we start this particular session, let us go through a quick rapid survey. You can join a website called slido.com, and then you can just press this particular code, and there will be three questions basically for you. And if you can just give that particular answer, and this is a live questionnaire, we will be able to see like what is the basic key takeaways that you want to take from this particular session altogether. If you can just quickly do it, it will be great. We'll give a minute or 2 minutes for you guys to just fill this particular survey. So you can join via your handset or through web. Are you guys able to log in?
Yes, I have been able to do that. Yes, Ashish, slido.com, correct.
And I'm able to see around 5 people who have already submitted.
The third option is nice, Sai.
So I think nobody has submitted that, Ronit. So it's a good thing that most of the people know what you guys are. So
Thanks, thanks. Yes, Ashish, you just go to slido.com, give the code that I've mentioned, 99400671. Sonali, we are able to hear Sai. Others, are you able to hear Sai properly? I can see people on the screen like Yogesh, Nilesh, Rakesh. Are you able to hear Sai properly? Is there a lag out there? If you can just give a thumbs up. Yeah, yeah, got it, got it, got it. Okay. I think Sonali, maybe you can just join back once again. All clear. Okay. Thanks, Kanchan. Thanks, Neeraj. Sure,
so
Sonali.
so we'll stop the survey in next 30 seconds. So but still you can just do it and we'll see the end result. Let's wait for next 30 seconds. Okay, it's great to see that the people would like to understand the fresh approaches that can bring in from the psychology of sales, or to understand the basic psychology of selling. This is great, and I think most of the people know about Juno masterclasses, but I think that is a proud thing for the Juno team altogether. So from there, let me go back to the presentation. So the first basic question that every sales people have to understand is like why people buy. So the people as you know that the customers, right, they mostly buy the product on the basis of the certain pitches that a sales guy make. So the presentation make a critical factor altogether. But still after the presentation, if they buy, or why they buy, or why they don't buy, that is the question which always remember, right? Okay, what is the behavioral process of a buyer in buying the particular product? It can be, the product can be a services, or it can be a direct product altogether. So this is where the process of internalization which always comes into. So this is a process which is called as blackboard approach. So every buyer has got their own mental process altogether. So we have to consider buyer's internal mental process, why this particular buyer is going to buy that particular process. So this approach is known as blackboard's approach. But as a salesperson, we will not be able to understand the entire mental process of a particular buyer altogether. So the best what we can do is basically the stimulus aspect. The stimulus is nothing but including the relevant information in a presentation format altogether. So as a salesperson, the best thing what we can do, understand the behavioral approach and include the relevant aspects into that particular presentation, or how you're going to present to the buyer altogether. Then it goes like, it again depends upon the responses of a particular buyer altogether. So based on all these aspects, the buyer will figure it out whether they have to purchase it or not to purchase. So these three elements we always have to keep in mind, because the buyer's mental process is actually a key factor. But as a salesperson, we will not be able to understand the entire mental process of a buyer. Now, the various aspects are involved in it, which I'll come into the next slide. The best thing in order to increase or create a stimulus in among the buyer altogether, the stimulus is nothing but creating a better or present your company or your product altogether in a better manner. So why people buy? So there are three basic reasons why the people buy. The people buy for both, either for psychological reasons or practical reasons related to their company. Or as a consumer, we always buy from the practical or psychological needs altogether. Now, we have to determine the prospect's thoughts during the sales presentation. Now, as a salesperson, when we create a sales presentation, or when we present a sales presentation, we have to determine from the prospect thoughts, or from the buyer's shoes, we have to create that particular presentation and present it all together. Now, buyer also considers certain factors in making purchase decision altogether. So there are various factors which is involved, which I'll come in the next slide. So what are the factors which is involved? So the external stimuli, which is actually a part of the presentation aspect, is one of the key important aspects. So the external stimuli is actually the area where the buyer or the consumer's response, which is actually the combination of the marketing mix and the environmental factors that we have to include as a part of the presentation. So the 4 P's of marketing, which is actually product, price, place, and promotion, and the environmental factors. So these 2 factors actually combine the stimuli, and then this we have to include in the presentation what we are going to present to the buyers altogether. Now, the black box approach, what I mentioned, the buyer's mind. So buyer's mind is very, what do you say, like they have got so many products which is available, or so many companies related to the same product available. So there are many internal factors which are involved for their buyer decision making process. So one is consumer characteristics or buyer characteristics and decision making process. So I have to just highlight this actually varies in a B2C and B2B environment altogether. Now, the consumer characteristics are basically from the belief and attitude, the value, knowledge, motives, what is the lifestyle looks like, perceptions. And decision making is basically nothing but the problem solving, information search, post purchase, purchase, evaluation of certain product, and so on and so forth. So these are the factors actually involves the buyer's internal factor altogether. Now the response will be why they should buy. So the purchase because of the product, brand, source, the payment aspect, what is the kind of payment, and so on and so forth. Then they will go for a decision. Either they will go for a purchase decision or not purchase decision. So these are the major factors which actually involves a buyer's decision or buyer's buying process altogether. So what are the psychological influence on buying? So if you see, right, the basic as a salesperson, I think most of you guys must be in from the sales side altogether. So the selling actually requires the human behavior, understanding of the human behavior. So we as a salesperson, right, we have to always keep the customers in focus. So we have to understand what is the customer's motivation, what is their perception all about, what is their personality, then what is the attitude of that particular person towards the product. So one of the most important aspect what as a salesperson we all should keep in mind is basically the custom the influence or the behavior of customers towards buying a particular product altogether. So the purchase decision is actually one of the critical aspects, and it involves the understanding of the behavior of the consumer or the buyer altogether. So what actually influence the buyer in a normal layman word? So motivation is one of the most important aspects. So motivation to buy. Buyers will always think that like there should be a motivation to buy that particular product. So what are the needs and wants? Then buyers will consider the economic need. So always every customer or every buyer will always feel that the best value for their money. So including us, when we go to a shop, we always see that like we need the best product and best value for what we are paying. And at times, right, this is typically in the B2B scenario, what we always see, and B2C also, we can see this. The price is not only the major factor, right? At the end of the day, what is the service? What is the quality? What is the better performance of that particular product? These all matters. So as a salesperson, we have to keep track of each and every aspect when we give a presentation to a buyer about the product altogether. Then we have to make understand the awareness of the need. So most of the buyers, like we can classify the buyers into 3 degrees, which is one is conscious, one is pre-conscious, and one is unconscious at all. So the conscious buyers are those who are aware of like what they want to buy altogether. So it is very easy to sell them, but at the same time, we have to also consider the other aspects like the quality, the service, the better performance, price, and so on and so forth. Then the other important aspect is basically the pre-conscious nature of the particular buyer. So they are a kind of audience, they know the general type of product altogether, but they still want to understand about the product altogether. So this is where a mix of giving an understanding to them and how the particular product is standing out from the competitors altogether. Now, the third important category is basically the unconscious guys altogether who doesn't know anything or doesn't know what they want to buy. So, or why they want to buy a product. So that's where hard selling and more sales effort will come in order to sell that particular product. So these are the three major psychological influences which keeps on tinkering in buyer's mind altogether. Ronit, I want to just have a quick check. I think the people are able to hear me properly.
I can hear you properly. Others, yeah, I hope everyone is able to hear. Yes, yes, someone replied in the chat. All right.
So the one of the most important aspect in the selling or the approach or the technique what we can include is basically the fabulous approach. So one of the most powerful selling technique is actually the usage of benefit selling to to your customers altogether. Now, mostly like what as a sales guy in the early stage, what we normally do is like we get a corporate deck from the marketing team. We go and give, say, if there are about 20 or 30 odd slides or 30 plus slides, we present everything. And obviously, like we have got normally like in sales meeting, like we may get around an hour or an hour and a half. So what we have to always think is like in every stage, right? We should master the art of benefit selling, and this approach is nothing but which is called as fabulous approach. So the fabulous approach is basically consists of three important aspects. So FAB stands for feature, advantages, and benefit. And as a sales guy or as a salesperson, we should always try to incorporate this particular approach when you present your company, your product to any of your prospective buyers or any of the clients that you go and make. So the feature is basically the basic important characteristics of your product altogether. So be it B2C or be it B2B product side, we have to include the basic features what the product gives to that particular buyer altogether. Then what are the advantages of that particular product? So the advantages are nothing but the characteristics of that particular product, how the product can be used, what the product does, so why the product can be used for buyer's benefit, how it is cost competitive compared to the competitors. So this is another important aspect that you have to take care. So what is the product advantage altogether? Then the third is actually the benefit, which is what are the benefits that the buyer will receive by buying this particular product altogether. So whenever we create a presentation, we have to emphasize, or when we present it to the client, try to include this particular approach altogether, which is nothing but fabulous approach, which is you have to mention the feature, advantage, and benefit to the clients altogether. So let's take some examples of fab for some of the products. So the first one is actually for a sewing machine altogether. So here I have taken the advantages, benefits, and feature. But if you must have seen, right, it is not in that fab normal line altogether. So for each and every product, right, actually thing is like we have to understand what is their advantages, benefit, what are the features, and then include in various sections altogether when you present it to the client. So in the case of machine altogether, so if you see, right? Blade changing is quick, which is an advantage, and it's an and it is very easy, which is a benefit for them. And with this, so because it has push button blade, and it is one of the feature. So this is where you have to highlight this particular concept altogether for your product. And this is for a chocolate. It's basically the king size, which is actually feature, which will bring you additional profit, which is actually benefit, and it is a fast growing and more economical size. And this is for stretchable jeans for longer wear advantage and saving your clothing. So this is how you have to figure out what is the feature, benefit, and advantages of your product, and highlight it to the client. Push it to the mind of the buyer whenever you present your particular product, and vis-a-vis to the competitors. So you have to have both the understanding of your product and the competitor's product, then give a holistic view to the buyer, because buyers are the people who needs the good product, which is value for their money. And it's not I'm just giving you a teaser of what which is going to come, because the buyers doesn't look at your product, right? They must be interacting with your competitors, maybe few of them, and then finally they conclude what product they want to buy. So it's your duty to influence the mind of the customer and make them understand, okay, why your products stand out altogether. So what to determine about important buying needs? This is one of the most important things that we always want to understand about the buying needs of each and every customer. So one of the critical factors is this particular aspect altogether. So determining the buyer's need is one of the crucial factor. So we always have to keep in mind that what are the benefits that the buyers will get, which satisfies them. So you have got a product, right? And then it has got all the benefits in the likes of, like, you are providing a good service, the delivery time is very less, the delivery is very good, the customer can save the cost of this particular product by buying product from your site. But we have to always keep in mind, does the buyers want all this stuff, or they need something else? So we have to determine what is critical for the buyer altogether. At times, the cost is one of the most important aspects for them. At times, delivery is critical for them, or the time of the entire operational or closure of lead is actually important for them. So every aspect that what we have to take into consideration. So in order to determine the need, there is a method which is commonly practiced, which is called locate. So every word has got its own definition altogether. So as a salesperson, like when we are going for a face-to-face meeting or a boardroom selling, you try to inculcate the concept of locate basically in your presentation as well as when you present. So what does L stand for? L stand for listen. So you have to understand the behavior of the client altogether. So you have to understand their verbal cues, their tones, their implicit and explicit need altogether. So basically, like, as a salesperson, you must be you must do certain research about the company, who are the people whom you are going to meet, and at the same time during the presentation also, like, and understand the environment altogether. So listening is actually one of the critical factors that you have to implement. Then observe. The observing is actually another important aspect. Whenever you present, access the body language of each and every individual. If it is one person or if it is multiple person, try to understand the body language, their facial expressions, the reaction of their non-verbal cues. So if you want to take a pause in between, try to do that, and and make them understand about the relevance of your product. So observation is one of the critical aspects that all that you have to go through. Then combine is another important aspect. So C stands for combine. So consider, get information from every aspect. So do your research, do talk to various people within your organization, whether they have interacted with the client previously, why it doesn't work previously. Try to have an internal understanding before you go for a presentation. Try to gather all the information and combine it, and comes with a comprehensive understanding of what the customer needs altogether, which will make you or which will be easy for you to present the relevant topics, or the relevance of the product to the customer altogether. Then ask questions. So ask questions is actually a two-way thing for you. So ask questions actually thing is like, you give a post, let the customer ask the question, as well as you can also ask the question. So this engagement actually gives an open-ended scenario for you to understand what all the various aspects that customer needs. Then, as I mentioned, talk to others. So you can gather insights from your colleague or your team members, or within the customer. Like if you try to catch hold of someone, understand what all the various perspectives, what they are looking into altogether. And last but not least, which is actually one of the critical thing, empathize. So we have to think from the customer's perspective altogether. We have to understand their emotions, concerns, and their aspirations to their purchase need. At times, like we always, in order to meet our sales target, we try to hard sell, right? So we go on talking about all the things. At the end of the day, neither the buyers will be able to understand what they want exactly from this particular product, or why they should buy from us. So we as a sales guys always try to understand the emotions of the customer, whether they are facing any challenges, what is their aspirations related to their purchasing parity, and so on and so forth. So the term locate plays a critical role in determining the buy-in needs.
Sai, someone has requested you to repeat point three. If you can just repeat your thoughts on combine.
So the campaign is nothing but, as I mentioned, right? You should gather information from various sources. So the sub point of campaign is actually talk to others. Say for example, if I take, like, you are selling a product to a customer, and you want to exactly understand what is the problem that they are facing, what is the kind of people that you are going to meet. So you have to have a critical understanding about the particular problem that a company is facing by gathering information. So it can be through various ways, right? So if, say for example, if they are using SAP as a solution, I'm talking from the B2B side. If they're using SAP as a solution, what are the current drawbacks that they are facing, or how your product can be what do you say, a better product than an SAP solution which they have implemented. So you have to, as a salesperson, you have to get the information about that particular company, what is the thought process of that buyer from various sources. Now, at times it is not easy to get, but thing is, like, always a pre-evaluation will always help us to create a comprehensive solution, and which can stand out compared to whatever product that they are using currently. Shall I go to next slide?
Yes, yes, Sai.
So the another important aspect is basically the concept of trial close. So trial close is actually one of the best selling techniques that you can always use when you present it to your prospective buyer or a buyer. So trial close actually checks the pulse of the pulse or attitude of the buyer uh, towards the entire presentation what you have made. So the trial close can be used in the four important aspects altogether. So one, after making a strong selling point, you can use the trial close. So after making strong selling point, you can take a pause, and then you can understand the buyer's behavior altogether. Then after the presentation, so you can present the entire product deck altogether, then understand the pulse attitude of the buyer behavior. Then say at times, right, the buyers will have their own objection, or they may come up with questions which we can object. So there also, like, you will be able to understand the attitude or pulse of the buyer towards the presentation which we are currently made. Then it's like towards the end, like everything is good, and we are about to close the sale. So the trial close have been used in this at these times. So what is the why trial close helps us? So the trial close helps us to determine certain aspects. So whether the prospects will like our product features or benefits, whether we have successfully answered the objection which they have made, whether any other objection remains there, and whether the prospect is ready for us to close the sales or not. So this important aspect we have to always determine towards presenting a particular product. So trial close plays a critical role, and for that you always have to keep in mind about the taking pause at necessary times. So some of the examples of trial closes are: how does it sound to you? Is this important to you? It appears that you have a preference of this model. So what is in your mind? So you are using this particular product. So do you want any additional features which has to be included, which we can provide? So these are certain things that we have to always incorporate when we present it to a particular buyer or a prospective buyer altogether. The next important thing, which is actually the cell sequence. So we know the term cell, but there is an abbreviation for cell altogether. So we have to use the cell sequence throughout our presentation. The presentation is when we present to the respective buyer. So the S stands for, we have to show the features of the product altogether. Then explain. E stands for explain the advantage. So, so many times, right? Whenever we present a particular deck, so half of the times, like say 15-20 minutes, we will be talking about the company altogether. Then normally, then we will get into the entire stack of product. So always we should try, basically, is right, we have to talk less about the company, because most of the people understand, because they must have done their pre-research about the company which we represent. So we have to give more importance to these cell concepts. So first we have to show the feature, then explain the advantage of the product what we are going to sell. And it's not the entire product. So if we may having a multiple stack of product, as I mentioned in the previous slides, right, when we do a research, understand what the customer basically needs, then emphasize on that particular product, the advantage of that particular product. Then L stands for the leads into the benefit, why they should buy this particular product. And then the last L stands for let the customer talk, let them ask questions in the form of trial close, which you will be able to answer it properly. So give more space to the customer to ask question, rather we keep on talking and giving a understanding about the product. So the selling involves it's actually a combination of the needs and skillful related to the product benefit of the buyer's need altogether. So try to incorporate the sell sequence altogether, which will help you to what do you say, articulate your product in a better manner, and then which I think towards it helps us to close your deals in a better manner, rather dragging the entire process altogether. So the buyer's need, right? So there are different kinds of buyers altogether, and as a sales guys,
Sai,
yeah.
pause here. Sai, I would like to pause here. In the previous slide, there's a question. Can you please elaborate fourth point with example? Sonali has asked it. Would you like to take it right now, or would you like to take it at the end?
So what Sonali wants to let customers talk by asking question in the form of trial close, right?
And there's also one question from Ashish. How relevant is the flow for B2C high ticket sales?
Okay. Let me ask Sonali's question first. So let customer talk by asking question in the form of a trial close altogether, right? I hope that is the question, right, Ronit?
Yes.
So let me go to a previous slide. So if you see, right, in normal cases, what happens, right? We used to talk a lot, and then the customers at times they don't have much relevant time to ask questions, because thing is like we have to cover the entire presentations. We are at this particular point, gents, at this particular point of time, what we always have to see is basically we have to give a space to customers. Say, for example, the mission that we have seen, right? So when we explain the entire feature, advantages, and benefit, the customers may be having a multiple questions, because the push button is a new feature which has been introduced. So they may ask, right, why the push button is necessary, because it can be an hazardous feature which you are including. So is it necessary? So in that particular aspect, what we always have to see, Sonali, basically, let customer, we have to give ample amount of space to customers, let them interact with us more often. And this helps us to understand the behavior of the client altogether in buying that particular product. And this helps us to analyze, okay, this is the need, and this is how the further talks can be further talks which we can initiate. So I think I'm able to answer your question.
Sonali, yes.
It's good, Ronit?
Yeah, it's good to go ahead.
And I think Ashish has Ashish is asking about how relevant this is from the B2C side, right? So even if you see
Correct.
from the B2C side also, the concept of the selling is more relevant, because thing is like when we face a direct consumer, right? So all the features which we have to incorporate. So as a normal layman, right, Ashish, you are a consumer, and then when you when you go to buy a product, be it in a kirana store, be it in a normal consumer shop, you must have observed that, right? How a sales the particular person sell it to you. But only thing, the relevance of fourth point will not be much in a B2C side. Rest SEL part will always come.
Got it. Yeah. Sai, we can move ahead.
Okay, so one of the critical thing what we were talking is about understanding of the buyer side. So every time when we go for a meeting, we may not be able to understand the buyer's persona altogether. Be it one person or be it a multiple people, the persona of the people changes. So the buyer's persona is basically classified into four different categories altogether. So one is thinker, one is intuitor, feeler, and sensor. So these are the basic four personas of or personalities of buyers altogether. So according to these aspects, we always have to adapt, or we have to always alter our presentations altogether. Now, how do you identify all these people, right? Who is thinker, who is intuitor, or who is feeler, who is sensor? And maybe like you may be coming across all these four people or a combination of any of this. So understanding from the buyer's persona is one of the critical factor, because thing is like it is easy for you to connect with them and then able to mold your presentations accordingly. So thinker is a person who is having he works only on logic. He works on ideas, he works on systematic inquiries altogether. So if you are dealing with those kind of persons, right? So what you have to always include is basically include always present in such a manner that like with ample amount of data and the facts and figures will be critical for these people. And you have to present your materials in very orderly and logical manner and be precise. And they don't want to hear about the entire thing. You have to be precise on what you are going to talk. Now, coming back to intuitor. So intuitor is again, they give importance to idea. They give importance to innovations, concepts, theories, long range thinking, and all. For these kind of people, we have to always give a bigger picture about the whatever we are selling, be it a concept, be it service, or be it a direct product. Now, feeler is a person, they are very sensitive for what they want to buy altogether. So if you are so they are very emotional in the sense like, okay, this is very critical for the company, we should buy. So always if you come through these kind of people, we have to keep the presentation on a very personal note, give importance to that guy, why this product, how the product can help your organization in such a manner, including the emotional aspect altogether. And the last but not least, the sensor. The sensor is actually a person who is very high value on action altogether. So they can be so they work on basically from the graph, model, samples. So they want to visualize everything. Once they visualize everything, then only like they will be able to take a decision altogether. For them, always the combination of verbal communication and written communication works, but the verbal communication always helps them to make decision altogether. So as a salesperson, we always have to understand the buyer's persona altogether. And it is critical, right, for us to connect with those people and then help them to take decision, as well as how easily that you can sell your products to them. So this is actually a chart which explains the buying decision process altogether. So there are basically 5 basic steps in the buying decision altogether. One is the arousal, the need for the arousal, then the collection of information, then evaluation of information, purchase decision, whether to buy or not to buy, and post purchase. So the first important critical aspect is like the customer understand or customer realizes his needs. Now, in order to create that arousal, like you have to help him understand why the particular product that you are going to sell to him stand out vis-a-vis to the competitor. So that need has to, or that arousal has to be, you have to arouse that particular need in the mind of the customer altogether. Then you always have to think that, as I mentioned in the earlier side, the customer will not look your product only, because they may be looking into variety of other products, variety of the kind of competitors that you have in the market. So they may be collecting various informations, and then they try to throw it to you. So the basic thing what you have to understand is basically take your top 5 to 6 competitors for your product, if there is any, unless and until your product is a very niche product and new to the market. Otherwise, like, compare it with these, and you, in back of your mind, right, you should have answer for this, because customer may throw a lot of questions. Why the X company's product is better than yours, or their pricing is better, their delivery is better, or their features are critical. So you should have a typical answer, or compare, try to compare, and then project it to the particular product to the customer, why you stand out, and what benefits that you can give vis-a-vis to the vis-a-vis compared to the competitors. Then whatever information, and try to be more accurate with your information, because nowadays, right, you can see multiple products which is coming. Because recently, like, I was having a session on the e-procurement side, and there are 7 to 8 companies who came having the similar solutions. Now, prima facie, like, we don't see any difference in that. Now, what boils down is basically the pricing aspect altogether. Otherwise, like, the products remain the same. Some of them have got the brand value. Some of them are very from the startup environment altogether. Now, so as I mentioned, right, the information evaluation is one of the most critical aspects, because as a sales guy, we always have to understand that the customers will always matches the information according to the need, attitude, and belief, and what we have presented. So as a sales guy, at least, like, we should provide the relevant information about the particular product altogether. So the information evaluation is actually a critical aspect altogether. Then the purchase decision. So the purchasing decision is another important critical aspect. The buyers will always feel that why I should buy this particular product from you vis-a-vis to ABC company, whatever it is. So the purchase decision, or the decision of the purchasing capacity can be altered by 4 different factors. One, the attitude, the perceived risk, the uncontrollable factors, and as a salesperson, the actions what the decisions have been reached. So the purchase decision can be a go or non-go, and it depends upon these 4 factors. Now, as a sales guy, right, I always believe, whether it's a client which is a repetitive client or a new client, I always give 2 important aspects. One, the features, benefit, and then what are the services that we give post-purchase. And this is one of the most important aspects that we should highlight, because most of you, as a sales guys or as a consumer, we must have experience, right? Once we buy any item, and that's it, end of the story. And in order to chase the company, in order to get the service aspect, or if any problem exists, what is their reaction altogether? So what we have to always help the clients to understand that the post purchase, what is the services that we give, and always we have to be in touch with the buyer about the satisfaction what they are facing, whether the buyers are using their product altogether in a better manner, whether any problem exists. So the post purchase is one of the critical aspects in the buying decision process altogether. So as a salesperson, whether to buy or not to buy when we create a presentation. So there is a meme which has been saying, uh, not saying that you should buy it, but you should buy it. So this is the attitude that we should give it to our customer altogether. So whenever we develop a presentation, or whenever we present, before presentation, there are certain questions that we should ask ourselves. So what is the kind of product which is desired for that particular client? What all their buying situations altogether? So buying situations can be many aspects, right? uh, the, the 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 situation may be like the product may be immediately requiring for them, then, or they may take decision after comparing with many competitors. So you have to stand out in the buying situation altogether. Then how will the product be used by the customer? And that has to be involved in the your presentations altogether. Then what are the various practical factors which may influence the buyer decision? It can be both emotional factors, it can be psychological factors, it can be immediate aspect altogether. And what are the buyer's important buying needs? Which are the critical buying needs that which are always aspect? So we should try to answer all these questions to the customer which we are going, and accordingly, like, we have to alter the deck, because each and every customer, because in my early careers, right, I have got a tendency to create presentations. There is a company presentation, there is a product presentation which has been given by the product team or the product marketing team. Then I simply rather go and present that. And I always learned as we grow, right? The first 15-20 minutes is actually the crucial point. From there, we will be able to understand whether they will be going with the particular product or not. So that 15 to 20 minutes is a very crucial aspect in the beginning, and try to incorporate. I'm not telling these questions varies time on time, but try to incorporate the challenges from the customer side, what they are facing, and then start your presentation. And the first 15-20 minutes, because things like most of them doesn't have much time. The buyers are like, both from the buyers side, because if there is a C-level people involved, for them the first 15 minutes is very crucial. So this is again a very hypothetical way that I have put it across. How we can convince a buyer to buy my product? So the people will buy the product if there is a need or a problem is there. Now, if there is a problem or a need that we are able to solve, and it is very easy for us to sell that particular product, then the high probability that the product will fulfill the need or solve the problem better than the competitors. So there will be always a comparison with competitors. And then, as I mentioned, when the products stand out, they will always buy the particular product. And the second important aspect, we have to create a belief in the mind of the customer that they should only buy product from us. And that's where the standout matter always comes. As I mentioned in the early slides, like the FAB approach, then they have the resources and authority to buy. So if a problem persists, right, there are many cases that we have felt, right, after consistent amount of meetings, towards the end, they may come back that we don't have current budget or current resources. So what we always have to see, like when we do a sales, starting from cold calling, or when we get an inquiry and go, understand whether they have the sufficient resources and authority to buy that particular product, or else it's actually a waste of time for us and waste of time for them. So I've included certain means for the life cycle selling. So when we started our career, like we used to, or the current stage also, we used to make lot of cold calls, right? So like I close selling. So we does a elevator pitch, and then at the end of the day, we are confused that like okay whether the buyer is asking me to stop or they will buy something. So these are some of the interesting memes that I've collected from various sites, and then I just put it across. I think we are ending the session. So I think three books that you can read is basically from the psychology of selling side. Is basically one is from Robert B. Cialdini, The Influence of the Psychology of Persuasion. So which is one of the good books that you can always look into. Then the second book is basically on To Sell is Human, The Surprising Truth About Moving Others. And this is by Daniel H. Stein. And this is also one of the best-selling books. And then another important aspect is like the spin selling by Neil Racken. The spin is the concept of situation, problem, implication, and need payoff. So this is again one of the books that you can always look into as far as the psychology of sales has been considered. I think that's it from today's session. I think Ronit, I'm on time, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, completely on time. So thank you so much, Sai. You can stop sharing a screen. Okay, people who want to take a screenshot of this slide can do that. We'll give you a quick 10 seconds. These are the three books: Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert, To Sell is Human by Daniel, Spin Selling by Neil. So yeah, Sai, you can stop sharing your screen. We'll go to the Q&A round.
1 second.
One second. Okay. First of all, Sai, thank you so much for an elaborate session. Very deep. I mean, the amount of experience you have been through, right, with your 17 years career. Again, putting that in a PPT with your observations is difficult, but thank you so much for taking that effort for us.
Thanks, Ronit. Thanks from your side also giving me an opportunity.
Pleasure.
I think this is towards like we are ending this particular year. This year has been tough uh, for uh, for the entire I think from the industry side altogether, because startups has faced a lot of hurdles towards their investment. Then many companies like try to renegotiate the cost altogether for the existing product. So I hope 2024 is going to be a better year for everyone. And I think mostly most of you guys are going to take long holidays because the Christmas is approaching the new year.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole idea of Juno Masterclass is to bring in these kind of content so that people can implement them, because tough times will be there, but when you have the right knowledge, you can again cross those tough times, right? So that has been our agenda, our vision. And thank you so much, Varun, for sharing fantastic content in this session. Thank you so much, Varun. Uh, okay, Shruti, thank you so much. Okay. So yeah, we'll quickly move to the Q&A. So people who would like to ask questions, our request would be please raise your hand. You can do that by going to the reaction section below and click on raise hand. I'll unmute you and you can ask your questions. Yogesh, Sonali, Santosh, thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed the session. Thank you. So yeah,
I think there is one thing. Either I am able to sell I'm able to understand the psychology of each and every people who have participated, and I'm able to sell this, or I'm not able to sell the content.
no. See,
I'm
the,
just
the
kidding.
problem is when you are dealing with such a, concept, right? It requires. I mean, I was going through your PPT yesterday, right? And such an elaborate PPT, and we were also discussing internally that why it is required for such an in-depth research. So completely understood. I mean, the depth that you have gone through. So people, again, every time what I'll tell you, Sai, what happens again, because these are our people every week we meet. So whenever I'll ask them, do you have any question? People will not raise their hand. And when I'm about to end the session, people will raise their hand. So yeah, Sahil, thank you so much for doing that. Sahil, you can unmute yourself, switch on the video if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So hi Sai, how are you? Hi
I'm
Ronit.
doing good, Sahil. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Sorry I joined the session a little late, but I was very curious to ask this question to you
Mhm.
because yesterday I was reading one report by Gartner, which they says that B2B, say I'm talking about particularly for B2B, that many organizations who are the B2B purchasers are now wanted to have a rep free experience. So they don't want to have a representation or sales representative into the buying process that they are into. So I would like to just know from you, like, what is your thinking on the B2B side? If a company like Gartner has showed this report to a B2B experience, so what should your take on it, or how the things are moving in B2B segment? So which is
So
I want to
Sahil,
know.
yeah, Sahil. To be honest, like it would be great that like if you can share what the report all about, because on what context the Gartner has released that particular report. Of course, we will try to understand. But as a normal, say if I am owning a company, right? At the end of the day, what matters is like how I will be able to, because how I will be able to reach towards the end customer. Because thing is like, say, consider from the startup environment altogether, a B2B startup, right? So initially, the startup may not be having sufficient funds to recruit a sales guy or a sales set. So what normally it does is like the founders themselves will try to go and get these clients. So the founders is actually representing the company as a salespeople. Then when they get enough funding or when they have got enough funds to recruit a sales head, obviously like most of the companies will recruit a sales head, because at whatever matters, they are the face of the company to go and sell. So for me, what I always see is like the sales concept has to be the sales department always has to be there. But I'm also very curious on what context the Gartner has mentioned this, the concept of non-sales kind of cycles, and then how the business can be generated. It will be interesting to read, but from my personal thing, I think the involvement of sales team is very critical because it involves various aspects, right? It's not about selling the product. To the customers have to be with us for longer period from the B2B side. So B2B actually works from the annual recurring revenue, right? Say because thing is like for one or the other product there will be always a competitor. The competitor will be there. So for 1 year, obviously, like the customer must have taken the product or they have licensed the product from us. But the post purchase, if you are not able to satisfy that, then they may go to any other companies altogether. So I think the for me, from my personal opinion, relevance of sales team is critical for each and every organization.
I got it, Sai. So I'll do share the like it's on the internet also that Gartner has mentioned, and you are rightly said that sales representative is zero. And my just last question to you, like, what is the one step a person who is moving from B2C to B2B segment into the B2B, like B2B sales? So what should your first, like, what should be the first step, or what mindset a person, a sales rep should have to have a maximum revenue for the organization?
So the first thing is basically the patience. Now, compared to B2C, right? B2B is a patient sale altogether. So there's a multiple cycles involved in the B2B side altogether. It depends upon the product altogether, so for the normal cycle can start from 3 months, and it can go if it's a rather complicated product, right? It can go till a year in order to close the sale. So it's actually a patience game in the B2B side. And the other important aspect is basically a lot of concept selling will come in B2B side altogether. So what I say is basically if there is a product and there is a customization required, then from the B2B side, say if it's a SaaS product or if any other product altogether, that process is not there in B2C compared to B2B altogether. So it's a patience game altogether. So you have to be more patient because B2C, right, actually you go, you have the product and there is no concept selling altogether. You directly go, you have the product, you sell it to them, they can feel it, and you may be able to get the decision then and there compared to B2B.
Got it. Thank you so much. Yeah, got it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sai.
Yeah.
Thanks, Syed.
Thanks, Sai. Yeah.
Hemant, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, thanks for unmuting me. Yeah, so I'm into B2B sales. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah, Hemant.
So
Yeah,
I'm into B2B sales, and generally what happens is we're not selling like a new product or something. As in, generally almost 99% of the time, client is already using a competitor's product. Okay. So there isn't actually a burning need or something for him to change. He's kind of okay. Why would he stick his neck out? So we find it really difficult to sell since there is no need per se that we can, there's no pain point that we can address. What should we do? Like more often than not, what the question we encounter is that we are satisfied with our current vendor. We'll let you know in case there's ever a need. What do you think should be our plan of action in such a case?
Yeah, so typically, it again depends upon the product, Hemant. So this is actually one of the critical problem that most of the companies faces for their product. Say, if we are a reseller for any of the cloud products, if you are a distributor of any of the cloud products, say if you are a distributor of Google Cloud and then the client is using AWS or any of the SaaS products, like the typical thing what I just explained, right? I was in a session where there are 7 to 8 companies who are into procurement platform and ERP, and everyone has got the same product altogether, and then the features are same. Now, this is a very tricky scenario, right, Hemant? And the only thing what always we can do, how we can have a close relationship. So it's a very tricky sales thing where in this kind of scenario. So what is the so first of all, like the kind of closeness that what we have to make towards the client. Obviously, like the competitor will be having a edge over you, but at times, right, you will also have certain features and you can alter your product on the basis of unless and until you are not a reseller or you're a distributor for any other product, the product belongs to you. Then you can go with the particular the pricing aspect, the discounts, and if it's a licensed product, how you can give certain discounts in the licensing aspect altogether. And this is a very tricky scenario that everyone faces, but the crucial element in that particular aspect comes the pricing element. If the product is yours, how much discounts that you can provide.
Yeah, the problem with the price sales is that let's say even if in my case I kind of own the thing, so I can really play around with the price. But the problem that there exists is that let's say I were to reduce the prices, the competitor is going to follow suit, and he's going to reduce as well. So it's like a zero-sum game at the end of the day. So, how exactly do we tackle that? Means reducing price to make sales is something I'm not a big fan of. It's if at all you have to reduce the prices to make sales, then you should start looking at other places to sell.
So that's what came, and that I always say that if you're very what do you say, if you want that particular deal to be closed, then we have to have certain sacrifices in one or the other stages. Otherwise, the basic thing, this is a very tricky situation that we always faces in a normal scenario. So one or the other way, like we have to sacrifice something in order to get that sales, and later like we can get that particular revised thing. But try to understand how you stand out from the competitors altogether, and you have to feed in relevant information day in and day out to the customer's mind. So that's where the marketing comes in a very strong manner, right? So what all the feature, if you introduce certain features, let's incorporate those and feed this in the mind of the customer in a regular manner. So one or the other days they will try to understand, because the problem is basically the other important aspect is like, are you targeting the right person from the organization, whether he has got the right to buy. The last important aspect what we have discussed, right, whether they have the capacity to buy or whether they have the resources to buy. Are we targeting the respective resource who is the decision maker? Because at times, right, we always feel that when we go from bottom of the ladder, right, what happened typically, like say, IT manager, I'm just taking an example. IT manager, obviously, like if they don't see any value because from the price aspect or from the product aspect, because it's matching somewhere, now they don't want a sufficient time, they don't want to invest sufficient time in order to change the entire scenario altogether, because they are okay, because it's it's a hard work for them, right? Now at that particular point of time, you also have to feed necessary information to the relevant person how you stand out. Then combine the entire four P's of marketing, right? Price, place, or product, and then feed them. So one or the other day, for sure, they will come back. Because at times, like one of the company that I work for, I I have realized that basically it's a procurement based solution. So we were directly competing with SAPs of the world, Cycles of the world, or Oracles of the world. And it was a startup. It was not a startup. It was a listed company based out of UK. Um, uh, so what we have done is basically like we targeted the competitor of the particular company that we are approaching,
Okay.
and then they subscribe to our platform. Then obviously, like they may be looking into competitor side, and one of the company realized that the competitor has purchased the entire product from our side. What made them to purchase this? That thought process came in their mind, and finally we were able to bring them on board. So there are multiple ways that we should work around in order to get that sales done. And typically, as you know, right, B2B environment is a very, as I mentioned to Sahil, it's a very patient game altogether.
No, but this thing about this thing that you said was very interesting. That you try kind of people are always inquisitive. If
Yeah.
let's say you get a foot, you got a toe in through the door in one of the companies, you can always get into the other one. That was a very interesting observation. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hemant. I think Sahil has shared the report. Thanks, Sahil. Thanks. Any other question? Or let's do one thing. Let's move to the rapid fire. I quickly ask Sai a few questions, and then if there are some questions again, we'll take it up. Okay. So the first question, Sai, what are the traits of a great sales professional?
Traits, right? So patience. Again, I always emphasize on the patience aspect altogether, be it in B2C or B2B environment altogether. Then how to influence others, and how things can be get done. So as a sales guy, right, you are not dealing with the customers alone. So you have to do a much serious or critical battles within the organization, because you have to include multiple people. Typically in a be it B2B or B2C, and if you are working in a MNC or in an mid-scale company, right, there are multiple battles internally that you have to fight around. So one is patience. I can do anything, that kind of attitude. So these are some of the things that I always look into the people.
Okay. The next question would be, what are the tools that every sales professional should learn in 2024? And when I say tools, tech stack, I'm trying to point at.
I think half of the people will be using Salesforces of the world or Apollos of the world. So these are the HubSpots. So these are some things that you have to always learn or look into. But Salesforce is actually it again depends upon whether the company is using it or not. But you should have a basic understanding. I think now most of the people are using Salesforce as a tool for lead generation, then HubSpot, then Apollo.
Okay. I mean, what's your strategy, thought process? How can a salesperson plan and reach their sales targets?
So it's again this is very hypothetical question, Ronit. So so at the end of the day, the sales team is measured on the basis of their KPIs or their target, what they have achieved. So everybody I think if everybody is from the sales scenario, I think if you're working for a calendar year, right, from Jan to December, I think you must have done multiple your manager must have done multiple evaluations, because thing is this is the end of the year. Or from the intense Indian environment scenario, towards the end of April, March, April, actually the financial year ends. So how we should plan in order to achieve the sales target, right? So basically, normally, there is a quarterly, there is a half yearly, then towards the end of the year, there will be the targets which have been provided. So one thing what you always have to do is basically to plan your activities once you get your targets or KPIs all together. The planning of activities, one, you must be getting a set of leads from your team, or you will be evaluating certain prospects altogether. Now there are two crucial impacts. If there is a new sales deal altogether, try to start the conversations before your targets that you receive, because the thing is this is actually an experimental or evaluation stage for you guys, because you will be able to evaluate, you will be able to research about that particular company. Then it will be quite easy for you in order to create the FAB model, the locate model and all, which we just explained, right? But Ronin, this is a very tricky question. It's for me also, it's very difficult to give a what do you say, a correct answer for that.
I completely understand. Yeah. So the next question would be, we are on the call always with our clients, right? And with post-COVID, we are almost virtually dealing with our clients most of the time. So what's your hack to convince clients over a call? When I say call, it can be a telephonic call or a Zoom call as well.
So the COVID has given us an opportunity to learn two aspects. One, the sales can be done through virtually without physical meeting. But towards the later stage, right, what we realized that the post-purchase thing, the physical meeting is always necessary in one or the other way. So as far as the companies have been considered, what mostly they are now in a stage that okay, the sufficient OPEX can be reduced, because OPEX means the traveling can be reduced. So initially everything can be done through online concept altogether. But it doesn't apply for critical sales, in the sense say some of the critical companies, if you want to, still the face-to-face meeting is necessary.
Okay. What's your best objection handling technique?
for me, I take objections in a very positive manner. So I understand the objections from the client in such a manner that like take it in a positive manner and try to inculcate the what best thing that what we can provide. Obviously, like they may need hundreds of things from our side, and out of that 100 means like we can only provide 5 things altogether. That's 95 we may not be able to provide. So take that particular objections from there, objections in the sense like be it positive or be it negative, take it as in a positive manner, and then try to make them understand, okay, what best we can provide. If we are not able to provide, still there is a scope that we can partner with something. We can always come back that let's explore those opportunities, but we are unsure, rather keeping them waiting, because always we can be open rather keeping them in a waiting stage altogether.
Correct. My last question. Apart from reading books and sales specific books or the kind of things that you mentioned, right? What are the habits that a person can inculcate outside work, which will help them grow as a true professional?
Whenever you get an opportunity, right? I'm not talking about the events that you participate on behalf of company, but the networking is one of the key aspects for you. So whenever you get an opportunity, some events are happening, which is not related to your sector altogether, but still how you can build your network. What I realize is, right, networking is actually a key important aspect. So I used to participate the events which is not related to me, but the kind of interactions that happens, it can somewhere relate to some of the good deals that he or she may tell me that, okay, one of my acquaintance is looking for this particular product altogether. So one thing always is basically try to network with people quite often. So whenever you get time, like try to interact with people. The second, I think some of the YouTube videos that we can always watch from the sales side, like I can just mention few channels in the like of the Salesman channel, the Sales Insight Lab. Then there is a beautiful channel by Brian Tracy. So I think these are some of the things that you can always look up to. Then I think for me, I always value the networking concept.
Correct. Yes, on that note, we are done with the rapid fire as well as the entire session. Last 30 seconds, if anyone wants to ask any question, please raise their hand, or else we'll conclude the session. Anyone who has any doubt, would like to ask any question to Sai, please feel free. Okay, I think we are done for it. So once again, thank you, Sai, so much for giving us your time. And it was a great session and definitely a lot to introspect post this session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ronit, and thanks rest of all other guys for patiently hearing me. So I think for you, have a great holidays ahead, and then have a great new year.
Sure.
Hopefully 2024 will be good for everyone, and probably like we'll try to catch up in one or the other way somewhere.
Sure, definitely, Sai, definitely. And for others who have joined us here and also watching us live, we'll keep bringing you this weekly masterclass every Saturday, 12 p.m. The agenda of this session is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and all the sales professionals out there. You can come join us live, ask your questions, get knowledge from the leaders, and implement them in your sales journey, right? The only help that we require from your end is if you can please help us with your follow and subscribe button, subscribe request rather, on YouTube and LinkedIn, because the more you like a channel, the more you subscribe to it, the more it reaches to other people who need content like this. And we keep publishing content each and every day. So please do follow us and also share it with your colleagues, friends. It will be of great help. And on that note, we'll again meet next Saturday, 12 p.m. with another masterclass. The updates will be shared on LinkedIn as well as the WhatsApp community that we have. Please reach out to me if you have any suggestions on the topic that you want a masterclass to happen. I'll definitely get that done for you. And apart from that, if there are any other questions from this particular session, you need some help, you can always reach out to me. Also, you can connect with Sai on LinkedIn. All the details are there on our LinkedIn page. So please do go there and you can get the link of Sai's profile as well. And on that note, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. This is Ronit from Juno School of Business signing off.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Have a good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sai. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.